Hey, what's up, guys? It's me again. And today, we're going to be talking about how Trump wants to whack China with tariffs. China has bigger concerns. Now, I want to talk about how I really support the higher tariffs on China. I'm a very strong supporter of Donald Trump on these issues. I want to see tariffs skyrocket. I want to see nothing but products being raised on prices. I want them to make everything more expensive. And some people would be like, why? Because it's going to create more jobs. We don't want anything imported anymore. We want everything made right here domestically, right here at home. The only thing, like I said, that this was going to affect is basically seafood and coffee beans. I mean, like, what do you need that's imported? And we could still fish for seafood in our own waters to an extent, so it's not going to hurt us that much. And coffee beans are coffee beans. It doesn't cost that much for coffee beans, right? So definitely, we're going to raise the tariffs. We're going to raise all import costs and everything. We're bringing everything back home domestically. And Trump wants to do this. He's taking a whack at China, and China has bigger concerns. So we're going to get right into this article. I'm just saying this is a really good thing. It's going to bring jobs back to the United States. Some people don't like it because, these single moms on EBT, they don't want to have to pay more for their groceries. But as hardworking men and women that actually work to put food on the table, we want to see costs rise. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? So, while tariffs matter more economically in the short term, Americans' curb on higher tech imports and on investments into key Chinese sectors have greater potential to ratchet up tensions with Beijing. We ain't afraid of Beijing. Fucking if Japan could defeat China in World War II, I guarantee we could defeat China just by ourselves. China isn't that scary. They're our worthy adversary. We need to be scared of. You know, I've spoken in recent days to more than half a dozen policymakers, business leaders, investors, and policy experts who are concerned to China or connected to China, and in their telling tariffs are likely not the American policy keeping top Chinese officials awake at night. Tariff threats, after all, have been a century part of U.S. trade policy for nearly a decade, and Chinese companies have been moving to strengthen their ties with third countries to soften the blow. But the Chinese government has fewer options to bypass restrictions that are intended to slow the development and the capacity to build semiconductors and artificial intelligence technology. And that development is at the heart of its global vision, according to both its words and its actions. Restrictions on technology and investments are seen as a threat to Chinese long-term goals. They are not only hindering economic growth, but also challenge Chinese aspirations for technological self-sufficiency and global leadership, said and Thierry Smith, who worked under former Secretary Hank Paulson to develop formalized trade talks between Washington and Beijing. Beijing is already bristling at a raft of new export controls placed by Joe Biden, including in the final days of his presidency, that restrict the flow into China of advanced computer chips used to develop AI. We should have never sold any of them to them, by the way. I mean, we shouldn't be giving anything to China. We need to make China. We should never be trying to work with China to strengthen their technology and stuff because they're going to hurt us in the long term. And the statement to me is the Chinese embassy in Washington said U.S. moves to restrict investments in technology exports disrupt global production and supply chains and hurt the common interest of companies around the world, including American companies. So just by helping these companies, we're actually hurting American interests. So we got to be not selling them these chips. We got to be putting tariffs because we're hurting American companies by incentivizing things to go overseas. This is nothing new, but now it's happening. We're pulling the trigger on this shit, and we're just ending it. It's bringing all the jobs back to the United States. In an early sign that communication lines will remain open, Trump invited Xi to his inauguration, although he won't be attending. Tesla CEO Musk, a close ally of President-elect, also has business ties in China, raising the possibility he could check on China hawks close to Trump. So it's a sign that even people that do business in China are on Trump's side. So people are willing to pull their businesses out of China. It's more like people that are doing business in China are forced to do business in China because that's the only way to compete. If there was no way for China to make things cheaper, then I wouldn't have to compete with Chinese companies making things cheaper. And so businessmen want to make it to where China can no longer make things cheaper, and then they won't move businesses to China. But the only way to compete was to move businesses to China. But I won't have to compete with Chinese businesses if Chinese businesses cannot sell things to Americans. So then they'll make businesses where? In the United States. So that's why they got guys like Elon Musk even saying, look, we will build businesses in the United States, but we need to make it economically realistic. I am not going to build products in the United States if you can build them cheaper in other countries, because then it won't make sense. I'll be robbing myself. I'll be fucking myself over. I'm not retarded. I'm a businessman. So you got to make it to where what? You got to make it to where there is a way that's reasonable to make things in the United States. But I can't make things in the United States if it costs more to make things in the United States. That's what we got to get. That's why we got to be cracking on these Chinese companies. They're got to make it to where if you produce something in China, it costs more. And then if it costed more in China, why are we producing it in China? Are we producing it in China because it makes sense? Then you'll make it in China then, and then you'll import it. But if it could be cheaper to make in the United States, then what are you going to do? You're going to make it in the United States. They're going to bring it all right back to the United States. But I would be forced to compete with Chinese companies because they could work cheaper than our American people. So you got to really think about that. It makes a lot of sense. Some people don't like think that's actually how it is, but American businessmen aren't dumb enough to make things in America if people could outcompete them and outsell them, because then American business would just go out of business. They have to compete by going overseas. And then when they're able to compete and sell products for similar prices because they went overseas, who gets hurt? The American consumers, the American workers, the American people. It's like, so yeah, definitely this is a good thing, and like I'm skipping through some of this shit while I'm rambling on about this crap, but this is very good. I mean, it's not very good for China. It's not strengthening relationship with the United States. But I mean, in the beginning of our country, we were an isolationist state. We did everything by ourselves. We don't need other countries. We have a big ass continent. We have a lot of other trade partners. We have NAFTA. We have all these different trade deals. We got Canada, Mexico, United States. We got everything we need right here. So I'm just telling you guys the way it really is, which is this is a good policy. We gotta really support this. If you want, check this article out for yourself. I really think it's a good idea. They're gonna bring all the jobs back to the United States. They're gonna eventually, in the short term, it's gonna hurt Americans. I feel like prices are gonna go up. A lot of us might have to work longer and harder hours. Like, we're gonna have to work for our money and stuff. But I mean, I think in the long run, we will see like a strengthening middle class from bringing jobs back to the United States. And like always, guys, thanks for watching. If you guys could please donate to my Cash App, that'd be great. Check out my website, like, rate, comment, and subscribe. And like always, thanks for watching. Peace out.